Hello everyone, welcome again to SGSM Saturday classes. I got few questions from my last video. The very first question came was how to check Angular version in our project, and the second question was what is the use of export keyword. So in this video we are going to understand these things, also few more concept of Angular development. So just stay tuned and keep watching this video till the end. So to answer the first question, you can check the Angular version in your project by using the same ng space version command. Okay, so all you need to open the terminal from the Visual Studio Code. So in my case, I already opened that, but let's suppose it is not opened in your system, then you just can click on terminal menu and then click on new terminal. It is going to create a new terminal here, and now you just have to type a command like ng space version, hit enter, and it is going to show you this kind of a screen like an Angular CLI. So it is going to display you all the versions like Angular CLI version, that is 14.2.6, node version, that is 16.17.1, package manager, that is npm version, is 8.19.2. similarly whatever your operating system is. Now the most important thing, like whatever you want to know, so these are the versions for Angular. Okay, so basically you can just check this. Angular version is 14.2.6, right? So to answer that question, we are using Angular 14 in this project. Okay, another way you can check it, like you can just open the package.cs file. Okay, so if you go here and search for package.json file, okay, and see here Angular core or Angular compiler, anything that is showing 14. So you can just get this version from here itself. All right. And second question was what is the use of export keyword. Okay, so export keyword in Angular is actually used in TypeScript. Okay, so whatever TypeScript you have used, you can use that export keyword in the TypeScript itself. All right, so basically the use of export keyword is to allow that particular class to be available inside any other class, right? So in Angular we actually create modules, components, right? We create multiple modules, we create multiple components, and we create multiple other steps also. So to make those things available in some other classes, we have to use export keyword. It is kind of a access modifier, we can say. It is not actually access modifier, but yeah, you can understand it in that way, that it is actually used to access that particular thing from any other class, right? So if you see this fourth component or any component.ts file, then this particular export, like this particular class is exported. So if any class is exported, then only that can be imported in some other class. If you remove this export class from here, the project is going to throw errors because this fourth component will not be accessible inside our modules or wherever we are accessing that. Okay, so I hope that we are accessing that fourth component from second module, right? So if you see in second module there is an error, and what is that error? It is saying let me just scroll it a bit here, right? It is saying it is kind of module this declares fourth component locally, but it is not exported. See, it is clearly showing that the fourth component is declared and it is not exported, right? So that's why it is not accessible here. So to fix this, you have to export it first. and now that error is gone. Okay, अगर आपको मेरी वीडियो पसंद आई तो आप मेरे चैनल को सब्सक्राइब करके बेल आइकन को दबा दीजिए ताकि फ्यूचर में जो भी वीडियोस अपलोड होंगी उसकी नोटिफिकेशन आपको मिल सके, और इस वीडियो को लाइक कर लीजिए। साथ में अगर आपको कोई कमेंट करना है, कोई सुझाव देना है, तो आप कमेंट सेक्शन में आप मेरे को ज़रूर बताइए कि ये वीडियो कैसी लगी आपको। इस वीडियो को लास्ट तक देखिएगा। So now let us start with our Angular development now, and let us first start with something that we have done earlier, right? So earlier, if you remember, you used to create your components manually, right? You have to right click on the app folder, then you have to right click and click new file, and then you have to create multiple files for that component, right? If you remember, like when we created our first component, we created a ts file, and then we created a html file, and then we created a css file, right? And after doing all these things, we have registered our component in our module file, right, in app module here, right? So these are like manual things we have done up to yet, but is there any way that we can automate these things? Of course, yes. So Angular CLI allow us to like create components by CLI itself, right? You have to write few commands, and that is going to generate the components for you, and it is also going to register that component inside your main module, that is app module. Okay, so let us see how it works. So let's suppose for this example I am going to create my home component. Okay, so I am going to create a component. The name of that component will be home, and it is actually going to be the first component, right? We are going to remove this my first component, then second component, everything. We are now going with some realistic names. So I am going to create a home controller, a home component actually, right? So let us just go to the terminal. If you are already opening this terminal, then you can reuse that, right? So to create a component, there is a command, and that is ng space generate component. If you want to generate a component, you just have to write it ng space generate space component, and then you have to give the name of that component. Okay, so I want to create a home component, then I will be just writing home in small letters, right? After writing this command, hit enter, and it is going to create the home component for you. Okay, so because see this error, you might get this error, and see what that means. More than one module matches, use the skip import option to skip importing the component into closest module, or use the module option to specify a module, right? So it is actually giving this error because we do have two modules, right? One is app module right here, and the second one is the second.module.ts. both are modules. So the CLI is now confused in which particular module we are going to register the component, right? So that's why it is giving this error. So if you want to skip the import, that means if you want to don't register that particular component in the module, then just use this flag with that. Otherwise you have to specify the module name for that, right? So let us now import that particular home component inside our app module, right? The command will be ng space generate space component space, then the name of component, that is home, and then space we have to provide this module option, right? So this module option is going to take a value, and that will be the name of the module. So in our case we have two modules, so we have to give, like we want to apply that particular component inside the app module, right? So the name of this module is app, right? Everything before this dot symbol. So the module name for this app module is app, and if you want to include that particular component inside the second module, then the module name will be second. So I want to add that into app module. So let us see how we are going to pass that. So you just have to write app, then hit enter, and see this, it is successful. So if you see this output, like it is created 4 files, right? The first file is HTML file, the second file is spec.ts file, the third file is .ts file, and the fourth file is .css file, that is style sheet file, right? So you must be wondering what is this spec.ts file, right? So this file is actually used in unit testing of Angular projects. So you won't have to worry about this file. So just focus on HTML, TS and CSS file, and don't touch this spec.ts file until and unless you are going to write your unit test cases, right? So you can just ignore this file. So these files are created. See where it is created. See, there is a folder, home folder, and inside this folder these files are created. Okay, now there is one more statement, that is update. So this app.module.ts file is updated, right? So this module file is updated to register this particular component. If you open app.module.ts file, you will see there is a new component that is added to the declarations, that is home component, and it is also imported here, right? And it is properly registered also. Okay, so if you run this like ngserve, it must properly compile, right, successfully, this way, like it is completely compiled successfully. Now I'm just closing it here. So by clicking this icon, let me just show you. By clicking this icon, it is going to toggle, right? Close this panel from here, not closing your terminal, right? So if you want to delete this particular terminal or kill this particular terminal, you can click on this delete icon. Okay, this is going to kill your terminal. And if you want to just close this particular panel, then you can just click on this close icon, and once you click that, okay, once that panel is closed, you can bring that particular panel back by using Ctrl plus J button, right? So Ctrl plus J is a shortcut to toggle this particular panel here, right? So Ctrl plus J, it is hidden. Now Ctrl plus J, it is again showing. Okay, so this is a shortcut, you can remember it. Now, as I stated earlier, I just want that home component to be the first component or the initial component, and I just want to delete these like component that is first, second and third, fourth, kind of that. So let us just delete those components from here. Okay, just a cleanup thing. We are now going with some meaningful component names. Okay, remove the second module also from here, and then my first component. So since we have only home controller, we can just bootstrap home controller instead of my first component, right? So let me just zoom in. Now let's just remove my first component also from here. Okay, it is new, brand new here. Let us just remove these files also, like third component till this fourth component, right? First, second, third and fourth, everything, including the second module also. I just don't want those things here. So just click on the delete, yeah, here. Okay, they are now deleted. Now you can remove this folder also, my first folder. We are just cleaning up our project to even to make it simple. So for now we are only having a single component, that is home component. We are only having a single module, that is app module, and let us save the changes and run the project, like see if it is running or not. So just press the Control and J again and see if that is successfully compiled or not. And yeah, it is successfully compiled. So if you open up this inside the browser, localhost 4200, then you will see that particular component is here. Okay, yeah, there is one more error. Actually there is nothing being displayed on this page. Okay, and that is actually the selector. Actually we are not using the selector for home, right, for home component. So if you remember, we used to create selector here, and we have to use the selector wherever we want to view this home component, right? So let us just copy this selector here, copy, and go to our index.html file, because index.html file is referring to my first component right here. So instead of my first application, we want to have our app-home. Now save it. You will see something on the screen now. If you refresh it, see, home works, right? So this is coming from the home component. So this is how you can create your component using CLI. Okay, so let us now create one more component using Angular CLI, and that will be about component. Okay, so let us just close this ngserve by pressing Ctrl and C button. Okay, so compiler will be end, and now we can just type cls command to clear it out. And now we are going to create another component that will be about component, and this time we are also going to use an ngCli, but with shorthand, right? So for that we have to use ng space, we used to write generate, right? But this time we can just use it as G only. Ng space G space, we used to write component. Instead of component, we can just type C, NGGC, and then name of the component. So the component will be the component name will be about. Okay, and now we don't have to specify any module name, because we are having only single module right now. Okay, so in this case it is going to create about component, and it is going to register that inside our app.module.ts file. So if you open this app.module.ts file, you will see that about component is added into the declaration, and it is imported also, and that component is created inside this about folder here, right? So this is how you can create your components using Angular CLI.